Okay, so we should be live. Thank you guys for joining. I know it's going to take a couple minutes for people to continue to join, so we're just going to play some Magical Kenya inspiration before we get started.
The wait is over. After what seemed like endless months and weeks of staying at home, it's time to once again take to travel. It's time to go on an adventure, relax, unravel, and unwind. At Magical Kenya, we have missed you. And while you were away, a lot happened. Our rhino population increased in number. So did our elephants and giraffes. The vast plains of the Mara became greener. And we reviewed our health and safety protocols to ensure a safe travel to destination Kenya in the new normal. We have put in place all the necessary measures to make your travel safe and relaxed, from your flight to your hotel of choice, or even as you head out for a game drive. Nothing has been left to chance. With this in mind, it's time now to rediscover the magic of Kenya and nourish your wanderlust. We are ready to reconnect you with nature as you explore new adventures and discover new places. And there's quite a lot of catch-up to do. Come experience the great wildebeest migration at the Masai Mara. Or if you're into aquatic escapades, then the incredible whale migration at the coast awaits you. Sample a variety of sumptuous dishes from across the country. So, pack up your bags and get ready to treat yourself to an exciting adventure as you rediscover the true magic of Kenya. Magical Kenya. Rediscover the magic.
Okay, great. Thanks again for joining us today to kick off the Rethink Travel Virtual Trade Show. Welcome to our first keynote session. I am pleased to welcome Dr. Betty Radier, the Chief Executive Officer of Kenya Tourism Board, who will be speaking about some of the health and safety measures that Kenya's tourism industry has put in place to ensure a safe experience for visitors and to rebuild consumer trust and confidence in the destination following the COVID-19 crisis. She will also touch on some of the strategic recovery initiatives that the Kenya Tourism Board has been facilitating across key tourism source markets to inspire travelers to visit magical Kenya. So please welcome Dr. Betty Radier.
Thank you, David. And good afternoon, good morning, good evening to all of you. As David says, we are really pleased that we have this opportunity to speak a bit about Magical Kenya and the protocols we've put in place in readiness for what we're calling the new normal. I'd like to start the presentation by just saying what the crisis has taught us. And as a destination, we decided to be a leader in the crisis. And in the crisis, if I use the quote that Paul Bryant, the American college football coach, gave, that in a crisis, you do not hide behind anything or anyone because they're going to find you. So the crisis did indeed find all of us. And as such, we were put under the position where we really needed to think about our industry, think about what it is that we will do moving forward, and protocols and readiness are really at the heart of our industry. So we've started off by assuming that this is something that is an existential crisis for the whole tourism industry, but also the whole world, and it will not end quickly or have a defined ending. And to that end, we have realized that travel will fundamentally change. The sector will not resume as before. It may happen again, as we currently have in the situation where we're having a second wave. So the whole issue around destinations that are resilient and prepared are probably going to be something that is going to be the new normal as opposed to the exception. And therefore, we've started off with the premise that every destination is now a startup and the new normal is already with us. So as the tourism board, what we've done is we started off by ensuring the safety of and focusing on the safety of travelers, the employees in the sector, industry players who came together and through various crisis committees began a strategy on the immediate and midterm plans in order to restart travel. This is going to be fairly challenging for most destinations around the world, but we are going out there and saying we want to be at the forefront of ensuring that our partners, destinations that we would like to welcome into our destination are aware that we indeed have launched the tourism health and safety protocols. In fact, they're called the Magical Kenya Tourism Health and Safety Protocols. And they're covering the whole value chain around travel, which is airlines, hotels, tour operators, hospitality partners, and any other partners that are basically within the value chain of tourism. It covers our suppliers in the hotels, it covers our trade partners, it covers our transport providers, formal and informal, and therefore it is important that during that period or during this period, we first of all made sure that our destination is ready. And now the opportunity to create awareness and educate travelers that we are ready is important. So, and we've done this through a number of channels. We've looked at digital media as a key medium. And in that space, we've been able to serve different videos of what it is that we've been able to do, signage, engaged in social media, carried out some virtual live streams that allow people to see not only what the destination has to offer, but also what the destination has put together in terms of readiness. Conversations within the tourism trade in Kenya and in our key source markets such as the US and North America began a while back, and they will continue even as we go along. We were the first destination to get the safe tourism seal for the efforts undertaken in travel in Africa, and we're really pleased about that. We have included this in most of our communication. We've also taken very specific steps towards ensuring that we support the sector through marketing, ensuring that we are sustaining our conservation efforts and our small and medium-sized partners. Our stakeholder education and involvement is key in making sure that the protocols are in place and that they continue to deliver on them, even as we expect visitors to come into the destination. So I'll very quickly just go through some of the things that we've done. In minding the crisis, what we've done is that because this is a pandemic that actually has affected the whole world, we are cognizant of the fact that we need to look at markets, look at them intentionally and focus both on, in our local market, we focus on domestic travel, but it's not lost on us that international travel will open up with time. And when it does open up, the new traveler wants to know, is that destination safe? Can I get to it? Will I be able to enjoy myself in that destination? Have they put in place diversity around the products that they're offering in terms of how we are optimizing wide open spaces, and how is that going to then impact the decisions that people make around travel? So looking at collaboration amongst our stakeholders and our partners in market, pulling together as a destination, as a people, to ensure that we partner with like-minded partners, both in country and out of country, to ensure that we're able to deliver to what the traveler's needs would be. So if we move on and we look at some of the measures that we've put in place, there's economic measures that were put in place, and these are largely for the destination. And it's around tax relief, it's around VAT relief, it's around reduction in corporate tax, it's around soft loans and that sort of thing. So when we move into the economic stimulus package, and this is really where we begin to focus on tourism, we've made sure that we have been able to sustain our community conservancies by ensuring that we are looking after community scouts for the entire year, and these are up to the number 5,500. We're promoting aggressively post-tourism marketing products, supporting renovations to hotels through soft loans, and supporting our college or our capacity building center to ensure that we continue to have a steady supply of well-trained professionals. The 4 pillars, an approach that we've used for the health and safety protocols, is around the operation of staff preparedness, because this is something that the traveler needs to feel confident about. We at the moment have all our staff in our facilities, both tour operators, hospitality, and travel agents that are open, testing periodically their staff, but also putting in place measures where they're able to detect if they have a breach in the protocols or if they have an incident. And they can very quickly shut down that section of the hotel or put away, if it's a tour company, just have that a group of staff leave the establishment and get in a new group of staff. So we don't have organizations with 100% staff on board. They have staff in shifts, and therefore it allows them to be able to show a safe experience for the traveler at the moment. Rebuilding trust and confidence is important. And therefore, we've shown exactly what it is that we and our partners are putting in place. We are implementing enabling policies and integrating innovation in and around our facilities, contactless facilities that allow people to feel confident even as they move around, as they go around, effecting the protocols around sanitation and hand washing and mask wearing, so that there's that comfort around that. The airport protocols are really, really strict. As you're all aware, currently the requirement for travel is a PCR-based COVID test carried out within 96 hours of travel. This is obviously something that is reviewed periodically, because in some cases 96 hours may not be appropriate for especially long-haul travelers. There's temperature screening before the airport. There's completion of health declaration forms, provision of hand sanitizers, masks within entry and exit points. There's obviously the observance of social distancing, clear markings for seating, especially in all the terminals. As I mentioned, contactless operations at service delivery points, catering facilities, digital payments to minimize touch points, and of course, routine sanitization and disinfection of the airport facility. So I'll just play this video because it gives you very quickly an insight into exactly what these protocols are as you journey as a traveler, outbound or inbound. Okay. So in terms of the protocols, I'll skip this because it's mainly covered in some of the visuals that you have seen there, in some of the measures that you've seen there put in place, the electronic menus in the restaurants in terms of catering and accommodation. You can see, I've talked about the COVID-free certificate, provision of standards and safety, first of all, bringing briefings to all guests in terms of temperature checks, use of masks, sanitization and social distancing. So if I move forward, when you look at the tour operators, we've got to have, each tour operator must have documented standard operating procedures for guest management in line with health and safety protocols, and then all of the other valid certification that are required. The PCR COVID-free certificate, the reduced numbers in the vehicle, so 6 packs only allowed in the vehicles, properly cleaned and sanitized vehicles after every use by the guest. The guest luggage is also sanitized. Windows are kept open. Provision of face masks and hand sanitizers upon entry and exit, and limited number of staff accompanying guests on every trip. So in terms, just to summarize and wind up, we've made sure that we are conscious about the importance of sustainability and the trends that we're finding that travelers are looking out for. So high value, low volume tourism has become actually the norm. Slow travel, people do not want to be put in large groups. They want to be able to be conscious about the footprint that they leave in the places that they go, want to have a lot more outdoor experiences, a lot more reconnection with nature, a lot more traveling closer to home at the moment. But we're looking and we're hoping that we will be able to have our travelers get back on long haul travel. And in the meantime, we're using technology in travel, which is around virtual tours, to be able to just keep them dreaming about the destination. In restarting tourism, I'll skip through this because it is covered in the previous video, where we just show that we've gone through the various steps where we've said we were waiting when people had to stay home, which the message around that time was stay safe and travel tomorrow. And now really we're saying we're open for business. So in conclusion, in terms of Kenya's brand promise, we're focusing on intimate and responsible connection with nature. So we're focusing on the benefits that we have in our location and the space that is available within the location to be able to experience an amazing holiday, an amazing trip. We're looking at culture and seeing how we can enrich, how that enriched culture can help to just connect people a bit more. We're looking at luxury, and even then we're looking to make sure that's exclusive. Even when we come to the coast, and we recently launched 8 different coast brands that allow people to diversify even at the coast and not to group together in one destination that is known to them. And therefore we are marketing 8 of the 7 of the destination coast brands, and now you can experience beach and safari during your visit or your beach at the, or your travel to the beach destination via a national park, which is Savo, which is barely 2.5 hours from the coast. So thank you very much. I'll stop sharing and hand back over to David, and I'll be happy to take any questions. Thank you, David.
Thank you so much, Betty, and thank you for being spot on time. That is always very appreciated, especially in a virtual format. We do have quite a few questions and a couple minutes left, so I'll throw some at you. Someone has asked, many of the employees of the lodges live in very remote areas. How will these employees' health be monitored?
Right, so what's happened is the way the protocols have been put in place. As I mentioned, they have employees coming in groups. So the employees are housed within the location where they're living, so they do not leave the location. And they are within the location for a period of 3 months, and then they get a month off. And that way, our stakeholders are able to monitor and ensure that once the employees are tested, people are sure that they will not be infected, in that they're not traveling back and forth to their homes.
Great. We had a question about the facilities for quarantine if the need arises and the approximate cost
Okay.
involved.
So initially, when we started, when at the beginning of COVID, the government had set up government facilities, but now because obviously of the capacity required, individuals have got options in terms of quarantine facilities via hotels, and these range from as low as $50 to as high as $150 to $100. So the traveler is given a choice of a list of hotels that have been selected, and they then can make the choice of where they would go and quarantine.
Excellent.
But it's important to note, sorry, David, it's important to note that at the moment, the Kenya government is not advocating quarantine and is there and is rather advocating for contact tracing. So you provide your details and then they'd rather do the contact tracing so that you're not spending that time in quarantine.
Great. Someone had a scenario question. So for example, if you were doing a border crossing by land from Tanzania to Kenya, and you've been tested within 72 hours of entering Tanzania, but you're spending 5 days in Tanzania, do you need another COVID test before you enter Kenya? I think the answer is yes.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Let's see if there's any others here. So a lot of people have asked for the videos. I have shared those slides with the videos embedded. I imagine you guys will share those videos on your social media platforms at some point soon as well, on YouTube. So when we get those links, we can share them. They're there already. Okay, is that on the Magical Kenya YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Magical
So you can look there as well. Great. I just wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about anything product-wise, since we focus more on health and safety and reopening the destination. Is there anything new and exciting from a product standpoint that's coming in 2021 that you want to entice people with?
Yes, sure. So what we're doing in 2021, as I mentioned sort of in passing, is we are a devolved country. And therefore, we now have the opportunity to offer diversity by county. We have 47 counties and 7 regional economic blocks. And what this does is we now have very specific offerings in the different counties. So where we were known for beach and safari, beach is largely domiciled in the coastal region. We've diversified that so that even when you're at the coastal region, you have an opportunity to experience 7 other brands, as I mentioned. So you can do beach and safari at the coast region, but then you also have then a lot of opportunities around conservation, marine life, culture, heritage that is domiciled in that area. You then move upstream to central Kenya, and now you come to the area where you don't only experience parks, but you now are moving into an area where you can do some hiking, some adventure, some mountain climbing, and that sort of thing. As you move closer to the lake region, you obviously pass Home of Champions, and you can, if you're feeling really energetic, join our world-renowned athletes and do some training in that area. But they also have a lot of geological sites that can be seen in that area. We've got the Great Rift Valley, and in and around that area, then come into the Mara region. You then move down to the lake region, and at the lake region, you now have the Lake Region Economic Block that allows you not only to experience safari, there's a lot of birding in that area, there's a lot of lake activities such as board walking in that area. There's a lot of cuisine there, a lot of culture, and therefore what you're going to see moving forward is not just the serving of 2 offerings, beach or safari. You're going to see that broken down into a lot more opportunities for people to have choices around being having a much more exclusive experience, but also having a much more in-depth experience, not only with communities, but also within the environment. Conservation is a big thing, and we're focusing on that as one of the product offerings that we will be having in 2021.
And then from a marketing perspective, I believe you're starting a collection of signature experiences that you're launching in January, Is that correct?
We actually have our first collection of signature experience, which are 15 experiences that were launched in 2019. So those are the 2019-2020 signature experience series. We now have a new raft of signature experiences that we will launch in February of 2021. And the point about the signature experience is these are experiences that we audit and are vetted by a number of stakeholders and experts, as well as ourselves, in terms of being able to live up to a fairly high level of high quality of offering in terms of whichever experience it is. It needs to be, first of all, unexpected. It needs to be, the infrastructure needs to be in place, and the experience really needs to be spectacular. And we're finding that we have a lot of that around the destination.
Great. Thank you so much. I have one more question before we go. I posed you a scenario where people are coming into Kenya from Tanzania on a trip, but let's say the opposite is happening. If people are in Kenya, then they're moving on to Tanzania or another surrounding country. How do they get COVID tests while in Kenya? If they're in Nairobi, maybe it's easier, but in the bush, I understand some of the lodges themselves are offering testing. Just how do the logistics of that work, and how can people plan around it?
So as I mentioned, we are a devolved country, and therefore in all of our counties, there's COVID testing. And every single experience that you have, whether you're in the bush is in a county. Some of the properties are now able to offer testing facilities within the property, but within basically 30 minutes to an hour, you probably get to the county center and you're able to get healthcare facilities that you're able to get COVID testing at. So you do not have to come back to Nairobi to get the COVID testing.
And is that largely arranged by lodges? It's obviously dealing with a local government testing site for a tourist could be somewhat of an intimidating idea. So that's being handled by the private sector?
Okay, so let me explain. When we say that the counties have testing facilities, it is driven by the national government and delegated to the county. So the standards of testing in Nairobi as in the county are exactly at par. So I think the fear against thinking I'm going to be at a local facility where they might not necessarily have the ability to test doesn't really arise, because we have put in healthcare professionals in those areas where the capacity is required, and the testing kits are in those areas. And it's driven by the national government's Ministry of Health.
Excellent. Okay, thank you so much. I know that was a lot of information in a very short period of time. I'm sure people might follow up afterwards with more questions, but I want to just tell you how much we appreciate you joining us for this first keynote session, especially given that it's almost 9 o'clock for you. So we appreciate you staying up late and wearing your Magical Kenya shirt. Yes. And I know I personally am really hoping that Kenya is my first trip after all of this starts to improve. And I'm sure many people watching feel the same. So thank you so much again.
Thank you, David, and thank you to all of you for giving us the opportunity.